Have you ever been trapped in a conversation where no matter what you say, the other person manages to twist the truth to their advantage? You might walk away feeling small, confused, or even doubting your own reality. It's a subtle, yet powerful manipulation that many of us face, especially when dealing with narcissists. These individuals thrive on controlling perceptions, distorting facts, and maintaining power over those around them. But what if I told you that there's one simple question you can ask that completely shatters their carefully crafted illusion? A question so powerful, it forces them to confront the one thing they fear most, the truth about themselves. Stick with me as we dive deep into the psychology of narcissism and explore how this one question can help you expose their game and reclaim your power. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to navigate these tricky situations and stop being manipulated. Let's uncover the truth together. Understanding narcissism. Narcissism is often portrayed as arrogance or self-centeredness, but it runs much deeper than that. At its core, narcissism is a psychological condition where an individual constructs a false self-image, designed to gain admiration and avoid feeling inferior. This constructed persona is typically charming, confident, and captivating, drawing others in with its allure. However, beneath the surface lies a fragile self-esteem, which is highly dependent on external validation. In other words, narcissists are not who they appear to be. They are simply performing, wearing a mask that shields their insecurities. It's important to recognize that narcissists do not live as their true selves. Instead, they create a performance, a carefully crafted act designed to control how others perceive them. This performance can appear effortless, with their charisma, intelligence, and charm making them seem like extraordinary individuals. At first glance, they seem magnetic, inspiring, and even wise. However, once you begin to look closer, you'll notice that something doesn't quite align. The confidence they project is not genuine. It is a carefully constructed facade that they wear to cover up deep-rooted fears and vulnerabilities. The narcissist's life revolves around this false image. They need admiration, not authentic relationships. Whether they are friendly, charming, or even vulnerable, these traits are tools they use to secure followers and reinforce their sense of superiority. Relationships are not about mutual support or genuine connection. They are transactions meant to feed the narcissist's ego. Every action, every word, is strategically chosen to maintain control over the narrative and ensure that they are seen in the most favorable light. This manipulative behavior can be subtle, making it challenging to identify until you are deeply entangled in their web. The deeper you go into understanding narcissism, the more it becomes clear that these individuals do not seek real connections. They seek to be admired. Their entire self-worth is built upon how they are seen by others. And when their image is challenged, or their reality is questioned, they react defensively. This leads us to a critical point. Narcissists are experts at twisting the truth. They can gaslight, manipulate, and confuse you, leaving you questioning your own memories and emotions. The illusion of the narcissist. At the heart of narcissism is the creation of an illusion. Narcissists do not allow themselves to be seen for who they truly are because, in their view, that would expose their vulnerability. Instead, they craft an image that others can admire and cling to. This illusion becomes so ingrained that the narcissist may even begin to believe it themselves. They become so adept at playing this role that it's hard to distinguish between their true self and the mask they wear. This illusion is not just about appearances. It's about control. Narcissists manipulate others by controlling the narrative. They shape how others perceive them by presenting a version of themselves that is designed to elicit admiration. For instance, if kindness garners affection, they will wear it like a mask, pretending to be compassionate and caring. If vulnerability draws people closer, they will fabricate stories of hardship and struggle, creating a persona of someone who has overcome great challenges. If playing the victim gains sympathy, they will rewrite history to make themselves the one who has suffered, thus gaining the attention and empathy of others. What's crucial to understand here is that narcissists do not form relationships based on genuine care or mutual understanding. Rather, they view interactions as opportunities to secure followers, not to build real connections. These relationships are transactional. Every act of kindness, every display of vulnerability, is a calculated move to manipulate others into reinforcing the narcissist's self-image. In fact, the deeper you get into a relationship with a narcissist, the more you may find yourself losing sight of your own sense of self as you become entangled in their false narrative. Narcissists thrive on admiration, not genuine affection. The moment their image is questioned or challenged, they react defensively, even aggressively, to ensure that their carefully constructed reality remains intact. This is where the power dynamic shifts, and where the first clue of narcissism begins to emerge. Their confidence, charm, and vulnerability are all part of a carefully orchestrated performance. Once you see through this act, you'll begin to recognize the cracks in their illusion. The challenge then becomes learning how to navigate their behavior without falling into their manipulative traps. How narcissists manipulate: gaslighting and the fear of being ordinary. One of the most insidious tools in a narcissist's arsenal is gaslighting. This term refers to the psychological manipulation where the narcissist twists reality, making you doubt your own memory, perception, or even sanity. When confronted with a disagreement or a challenge to their version of events, narcissists don't accept responsibility. Instead, they manipulate the situation, creating confusion, doubt, and emotional turmoil in their target. The goal is simple: to make you question your own experiences and ultimately accept their version of the truth. This manipulation is so effective because it taps into a deep psychological need that narcissists have: control. They thrive on dictating how things are perceived, and when their reality is challenged, they will go to great lengths to distort it. It's not enough for them to simply win the argument, they need to make you doubt yourself. The power comes from seeing you unsure, questioning your own memory, and ultimately accepting their version of events. This type of behavior can leave you feeling emotionally exhausted and mentally drained. The narcissist's tactic is not about finding common ground or resolving conflict. It's about maintaining control. Another key aspect of narcissistic behavior is their fear of being ordinary. Beneath the surface, narcissists are deeply afraid of being seen as insignificant. Their entire sense of self-worth is dependent on how others perceive them. If that perception shifts, and they are no longer seen as extraordinary, it can be deeply unsettling. This fear is what drives many of their manipulative tactics. They need to be seen as exceptional, powerful, and important. Anything less than that would shatter the illusion they've worked so hard to create. The narcissist's fear of being ordinary is directly linked to their need for admiration. Without the constant validation of others, they would be forced to confront the emptiness within. This vulnerability is something they cannot afford to face, so they continue their manipulative behavior, constantly seeking admiration and praise to fill the void. The irony is that while they crave attention and praise, they often have a deep fear of being truly known or understood. They would rather maintain a false image than risk being seen as ordinary or insignificant. Understanding this deep-seated fear is crucial when dealing with narcissists. It helps explain why they go to such lengths to manipulate those around them. They are not just trying to control the narrative for power's sake, they are trying to stave off the terrifying thought that without their mask, they are nothing. It is this fear that makes the narcissist so dangerous and difficult to confront, exposing the narcissist with one powerful question. Now that we've explored the psychology behind narcissism and manipulation, let's return to the powerful question that can expose the narcissist for who they really are. What would you do if you could never impress anyone again? At first glance, this question may seem simple, even harmless. However, for a narcissist, it strikes at the very core of their identity. Their entire self-worth is tied to the admiration and validation they receive from others. Without this constant reinforcement, they are forced to confront a terrifying reality. Without their carefully constructed image, they are nothing. This question forces the narcissist to consider a world where their power and influence vanish. It challenges them to think about a life without the admiration they so desperately crave. When you ask this question, you won't necessarily get a direct or honest answer. Narcissists may laugh it off, change the subject, or even throw the question back at you. However, the key is not the answer. It's in the subtle shift that occurs inside the narcissist when they are forced to confront the possibility of a life without validation. For the first time, they may feel exposed, vulnerable, and unsure of themselves. This is a crack in their armor, a moment where the illusion they've built begins to unravel. This question is powerful because it bypasses the narcissist's defenses. It doesn't accuse them of anything, nor does it engage in emotional confrontation. Instead, it simply lays bare their deepest fear, the fear of being ordinary. It forces them to imagine a world where their influence no longer holds sway, where they are not the center of attention, and where their image no longer commands admiration. This is a terrifying prospect for a narcissist, and it's in this moment of vulnerability that their true self is revealed. In the next section, we'll explore how this question can be used to detach from the narcissist's influence and regain your power in the situation. Detaching from the narcissist's influence. Once you've exposed the narcissist with a powerful question, the next crucial step is detachment. This doesn't mean cutting them off immediately or engaging in a battle to prove your point. In fact, trying to prove anything to a narcissist is often a futile exercise because their entire sense of self is built on control and manipulation. Instead, detaching means recognizing the narcissist's tactics for what they are and no longer allowing them to influence your emotions or decisions. The key here is to stop playing the game they've set up for you. Narcissists thrive on reactions. They feed off your anger, frustration, and attempts to reason with them. These reactions are the strings they pull to keep you entangled in their web. Every time you react emotionally, they regain control. Every time you try to confront them with logic or facts, they twist the situation to make you feel confused or unstable. It's a cycle that keeps you stuck in a loop, where you're constantly questioning yourself and your reality. The moment you recognize this dynamic and choose not to react, you take away their power. Detachment is about taking a step back and refusing to engage on their terms. You don't need to argue or defend yourself. You don't need to prove your point or seek closure. By disengaging from the narcissist's manipulative tactics, you shift the power dynamic. You stop being their pawn and reclaim control over your own emotions and reactions. This act of detachment sends a clear message that their games no longer work on you. It's not about winning a confrontation, it's about removing yourself from the power struggle entirely. One effective way to detach is by limiting your emotional investment in the narcissist's behavior. Instead of trying to make them understand or change, focus on protecting your own emotional well-being. Set boundaries that prioritize your needs, and stick to them. The more you detach emotionally, the less impact their manipulations will have on you. Eventually, they will begin to realize that they can no longer control you through their usual tactics, and they may start to lose interest in engaging with you altogether. Detachment can be challenging, especially if you've been emotionally invested in the relationship, or if the narcissist is a close family member or friend. However, it is a necessary step in breaking free from their influence. By refusing to engage in their manipulations, you create space for your own growth and healing. It's about reclaiming your emotional sovereignty and learning to navigate the world without being constantly affected by the narcissist's need for control. Understanding the narcissist's fear of being ordinary. The narcissist's need for admiration is rooted in a deep fear of being ordinary. This fear is not simply about seeking attention or validation. It is a profound existential terror of being insignificant, invisible, or unimportant. For narcissists, their self-worth is entirely dependent on how others perceive them. They live in constant fear that, if the illusion is shattered, they will be revealed as ordinary, lacking the specialness that they believe defines their value. This fear of being ordinary is what drives much of their manipulative behavior. They will go to great lengths to construct a persona that is larger than life, hoping to elicit admiration and awe from others. This persona may be based on superficial traits such as wealth, success, or beauty, but it often extends to fabricated stories of hardship and triumph. By presenting themselves as exceptional, Narcissists hope to prove their worth and ensure that others see them as extraordinary. However, the fear of being ordinary is a double-edged sword. While it drives the narcissist's need for validation, it also exposes their greatest vulnerability. At their core, narcissists are terrified of being seen as just like everyone else. This fear shapes every aspect of their behavior, from how they present themselves to the people they surround themselves with. They believe that being ordinary is synonymous with being worthless, and they will do anything to avoid that reality. Understanding this fear is key to understanding the narcissist's behavior. It explains why they are so driven by the need for external validation and why they react so strongly when their image is challenged. For a narcissist, losing their sense of superiority is akin to losing their sense of self. The fear of being ordinary is what propels their manipulative tactics, as they seek to maintain an image that keeps them elevated above others. This fear also explains why narcissists can be so volatile and defensive when confronted with truth. They cannot afford to face the reality of their own insignificance, so they will do anything to avoid it. By recognizing the narcissist's fear of being ordinary, you gain insight into why they behave the way they do. You also gain the tools to protect yourself from their manipulations. Once you understand that their need for admiration is driven by this deep-seated fear, you can begin to detach from their behavior and stop allowing them to control your emotions. You no longer have to take their actions personally, because you understand that they are simply trying to avoid their own existential dread. The psychological toll of narcissistic relationships. Being involved with a narcissist, whether in a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a family dynamic, can take a significant psychological toll. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, and they use various tactics to keep you emotionally invested in the relationship. These tactics can include gaslighting, guilt-tripping, love bombing, and silent treatment, all of which are designed to confuse you, undermine your confidence, and make you doubt your own perception of reality. Over time, these manipulations can erode your mental health. You may begin to feel like you are walking on eggshells, never knowing when the next emotional outburst will occur. You may feel like you're constantly trying to prove yourself, but no matter what you do, it's never enough for the narcissist. They will always find a way to shift the blame onto you, making you feel like you are the one at fault. This can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion. The constant emotional manipulation can also affect your self-esteem. Narcissists are skilled at making you feel inferior or unworthy, even though you may have no reason to feel that way. They may belittle your achievements, dismiss your feelings, or make you question your own worth. Over time, you may start to internalize these negative messages, leading to a diminished sense of self. This is one of the most damaging aspects of narcissistic relationships, the slow erosion of your self-worth. Additionally, narcissists are often emotionally unavailable, making it difficult for you to receive the support and validation you need. They may withhold affection or attention as a means of controlling you, or they may only offer affection when it benefits them. This can leave you feeling isolated and unsupported, which further exacerbates the emotional toll of the relationship. It's important to recognize the psychological damage that a narcissist can cause and to take steps to protect your mental health. Setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and seeking therapy are all essential tools in recovering from the emotional abuse that often accompanies narcissistic relationships. By taking care of yourself and acknowledging the impact of the narcissist's behavior, you can begin to heal and rebuild your self-esteem. How to reclaim your power and move forward. Once you've exposed the narcissist's true nature and detached from their influence, the final step is to reclaim your power. This means regaining control over your own life, emotions, and decisions. Narcissists often leave you feeling small and powerless, but it's essential to remember that you have the strength to break free from their control. The first step in reclaiming your power is to recognize that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness. The narcissist's manipulations may have made you feel otherwise, but their actions are a reflection of their own insecurities, not your worth. By reaffirming your own value, you can begin to rebuild your confidence and self-esteem. This may involve seeking support from trusted friends or family members who can offer validation and encouragement as you heal. Next, it's important to establish boundaries with the narcissist if possible. Setting clear limits on what behaviors are acceptable and what behaviors are not can help you regain control over your interactions. Be firm in enforcing these boundaries, and don't allow the narcissist to manipulate you into abandoning them. Boundaries are a powerful tool for protecting yourself from further emotional harm and for ensuring that you no longer allow the narcissist to dictate the terms of your relationship. Finally, take time to focus on your own personal growth and healing. Narcissistic relationships can leave you feeling drained and uncertain, but by prioritizing your well-being, you can regain your sense of self. This might involve practicing mindfulness, engaging in activities that bring you joy, and seeking therapy or support groups to help you process your experiences. By focusing on your own growth, you will gradually build the strength needed to move forward and leave the narcissist's influence behind. Reclaiming your power is a journey, and it takes time. However, by following these steps, you can break free from the narcissist's grip and build a life that is truly your own, one that is not defined by their manipulation or control. It's about taking back your autonomy, regaining your confidence, and moving forward with strength and resilience. Recognizing the narcissist's manipulative tactics. A crucial aspect of protecting yourself from a narcissist's influence is recognizing their manipulative tactics. Narcissists are masters of manipulation and often use a variety of strategies to maintain control over others. These tactics are designed to make you question your own reality, your worth, and your perception of events. The goal is to keep you off balance, confused, and emotionally vulnerable, which makes you more susceptible to their influence. One of the most common tactics is gaslighting, where the narcissist makes you doubt your own memory or perception of events. They may deny things they've said or done, or they may twist the truth to make you feel like you're losing your grip on reality. Gaslighting can be particularly damaging because it undermines your self-confidence and makes it difficult to trust your own judgment. Another common tactic is guilt tripping. The narcissist may use your emotions against you, making you feel guilty for setting boundaries, expressing your needs, or questioning their behavior. This creates a dynamic where you feel responsible for their feelings and constantly try to please them to avoid conflict. It's essential to recognize these tactics and understand that they are a deliberate attempt to control you. Finally, love bombing is a tactic often used by narcissists to reel you in. They may shower you with excessive affection, compliments, and attention in the beginning stages of a relationship. This creates a sense of dependency, making you feel like you're receiving validation and love. However, once they have you hooked, they will gradually withdraw their affection, leaving you in a state of confusion and emotional dependency. Recognizing these manipulative patterns allows you to take action before the narcissist can fully ensnare you in their web. Understanding these tactics is essential for protecting yourself from emotional manipulation. By recognizing the signs early, you can set boundaries and stop the narcissist from gaining control over your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Moving on and letting go of the narcissist. Once you've exposed the narcissist and recognized their manipulative tactics, the final step is to move on and let go. Narcissistic relationships can be incredibly draining, leaving you feeling emotionally exhausted and mentally depleted. Letting go of a narcissist, especially if they've been in your life for a long time, can be difficult. But it is the most important step in reclaiming your life and regaining your peace of mind. The first step in letting go is acknowledging the impact that the narcissist has had on your life. This may involve reflecting on the emotional toll of the relationship and recognizing the ways in which it has affected your self-esteem, mental health, and overall well-being. By acknowledging the harm that has been done, you can begin to process the pain and begin the healing journey. Next, cut ties with the narcissist. This may involve limiting or cutting off contact entirely, especially if they continue to manipulate or drain you. It's essential to prioritize your own emotional health over any sense of obligation or guilt you may feel toward the narcissist. You may need to create a clean break and avoid engaging in any further communication, as narcissists are notorious for trying to pull you back into their web when they sense that you are moving on. Finally, focus on self-care and healing. Letting go of a narcissist can leave a void, but it also opens up space for personal growth and recovery. Take the time to nurture yourself, rediscover your passions, and reconnect with the people who genuinely support and love you. Seeking therapy or joining support groups can help you process the emotions associated with letting go of the narcissist and provide you with the tools to rebuild your confidence and self-worth. Moving on from a narcissist is not an easy journey, but it is a necessary one for your well-being. By acknowledging the manipulation, detaching emotionally, and focusing on healing, you can take back control of your life and create a future that is free from their toxic influence. In conclusion, dealing with a narcissist can be one of the most challenging experiences you will ever face. However, by understanding the nature of narcissism, recognizing their manipulative tactics, and using the powerful question to expose them, you can begin to take back control of your life. Detaching from their influence, acknowledging their deepest fears, and recognizing the psychological toll of their behavior are all essential steps in reclaiming your personal power. The journey to recovery is not easy, but it is possible. By understanding that the narcissist's need for admiration and control is rooted in deep insecurity and fear, you can free yourself from their manipulation. The most important lesson to take away is that you are worthy of respect, love, and kindness, not because of what you can do for others, but simply because you are you. Remember, narcissists thrive on your emotional reactions and your need for validation. The moment you stop playing their game, you take away their power. Detach from their manipulations, reclaim your authenticity, and start living life on your own terms. With the right mindset, support, and strategies, you can break free from the toxic influence of a narcissist and build a future filled with peace, self-worth, and empowerment. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of how to deal with narcissists. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Transformative Thoughts for more insights on personal growth, emotional well-being, and understanding complex human behavior. Stay strong, stay aware, and most importantly, stay in control of your life.